silence the word, only in dark the light, only in dying life. Speak to us, God, your life-giving word. Hello, friends. I'm Mother Sylvia from St. Mark's, and I'm here with my dog, Harold, who's sitting on my book, and my new friend, Jeremy, who helps us sing and make beautiful music at church. And Jeremy's going to share with us one of those stories for the 40 days. So I invite you to get comfortable, take some deep breaths, sing or listen to the song, and get ready for this story. Only in silence the word, only in dark the light, only in dying life. Speak to us, God, your life-giving word. Only in silence the word, only in dark the light, only in dying life. Speak to us, God, your life-giving word. All right, I think we're ready, Jeremy. Will you read us this story?
Sure. The Widow's Kindness. Many years after the death of King Solomon, a man named Ahab became king of Israel. Ahab was king when God called Elijah to be a prophet. Elijah knew nothing good would come from Ahab's rule, nothing good for the people or the animals or the earth of Israel. Elijah said to Ahab, "There will be a terrible drought. The rain will stop falling. There will not even be dew upon the ground." Elijah wanted to warn King Ahab to stop his evil ways, but Ahab refused to listen. God told Elijah to leave Israel and flee to the east beyond the Jordan River. God directed Elijah to a stream where the water was sweet and cool. God sent ravens to bring food for Elijah, and the birds fed him from their beaks. But after a while, the drought caused the stream to dry up, and Elijah moved on. God sent Elijah to a town called Zarephath, to the home of a widow. Elijah was hungry from his journey, and he asked the woman for bread. She was hungry herself and said, "I have no bread. All I have is a spoonful of oil and a handful of flour. I'm going to make cakes of the oil and flour and cook them. My son and I will eat this, the last of our food, and then we'll just starve to death." Elijah tried to comfort her, saying, "Do not be afraid," though of course she was. It was a fearsome thing to starve to death, and worse, to watch a child starve. And then he told her, "Go ahead and prepare your meal. Be sure to make some for me, too." Now, the widow must have thought Elijah a little rude and pretty stupid. She had just told him that there was only a little bit of flour and oil for her and her son. How could she feed 3 people when she could not even feed 2? How could she feed a stranger if it meant starving her own son? But Elijah had gone out into the wilderness without food or water. He knew what it was to wait for God to send ravens to feed him. He knew what it meant to trust in the surprising goodness of God. He said, "Jar of meal shall not be spent, jug of oil shall not be emptied, before the day when God sends rain upon the face of the earth." Elijah was telling the woman to cook her last bit of food and share it with a stranger. He was telling her to use up all the food she had and believe that more food would be provided. She had to trust. But how could she believe this man? What if he was a liar, a thief who only wanted her last scraps of food. The woman must have fed Elijah with trembling hands, but she did feed him. She cooked a meal for Elijah, her son, and herself, and the meal, which should have been her last, was the first of many, many more. For the jar of flour was never empty from that day forward. The jug of oil was never empty from that day forward. It was all just as Elijah had promised. I think you're muted.
You're right. What an amazing story. I wonder what made the woman decide to trust Elijah. And I wonder how you decide who to trust. I wonder if you've ever had to do something hard that required you to trust someone. Think about that. Talk about it with a friend or a family, or next time we get to be in church in real life, find me or Jeremy and tell us your story. Have a good night, and we'll see you